Okay, sorry about that, folks. Trying to break up the time here for YouTube. Okay, so back to what I was saying. How do we know the King James Bible is the Word of God? Well, one is the lines of manuscript text they come from. We know we have the Word of God, the King James Bible, because it's translated from the correct line of manuscripts. We know it comes from the Textus Receptus, which we know we can validate to be the true line of manuscripts. Rocky, stop that. Sorry, my dog's being a little loud over here. The other line of manuscripts we know of comes from the Alexandrian manuscripts. These include the Vaticanus and Sinaiticus manuscripts. These manuscripts are the ones we find to have the translations of Westcott and Hort, the modern day version Bibles we find out there. These are corrupted manuscripts, which will bring us to my next point. So why do people say that their Bibles come from the older and better manuscripts? We'll hear people say, "Oh, well, I've got my Bible comes from the older, more recognized, better transcripts because they're older." Well, yeah, they're older for a reason. The reason they're more intact is because no one wanted to use them. The reason the true manuscripts weren't as readily able to find is because they're worn out. People pass them around. They got passed around more, and that's why the ones that were less used are easier to find today. Not necessarily today, but back when people dug them up. Which brings me to another point. I jotted down a little scenario here. If I wrote 2 letters and distributed both of them out to 2 different people, assuming both were not lazy and actually cared about the letters and passing them on, one letter was more beneficial and truer to the topic I wrote on. It was passed on, and so was the second, which wasn't as true to people who would know the facts. In a microscope of this, of a bigger scenario with the manuscripts, I'm trying to make this point, that if they were both passed around, the one that was truer, the truer letter I wrote to the facts, 100 years from now, let's say, not counting weather or deterioration of paper, if they were both kept pretty safely, people cared about them, tried to keep them out of weather and whatnot. The first letter I wrote that was the truer to the truth of the topic you can, let's say 100 years from now when everyone's died off, it would be hard to, if you found that letter, if it was even legible at all, it would be very worn out. The writing would be hard to read due to the fact that people have handled it, opened it, read it, touched it, whatnot. The letter that I wrote that wasn't so true to the facts, even though it may have been spread around, it would be more likely that you would find that letter intact. It would be more legible, being that it wasn't used as much. People may have got it and said, and set it to the side and put it in their drawer or something, but they didn't open it. They didn't pass it on to as many people. So, I would suggest to venture that if that person was dead, that you would find the corrupted or not so true letter to be found more intact in that person's belongings, in their home or wherever they may have kept it. So, in conclusion, with more people touching and handling the truer letter as they read it, it would be more worn out and harder to read. Okay, brings me to my next point. So why not the NIV or the NASV, RSV, NRSV, the NCV, or the LIV, which I actually at one point had, the Living Bible. Well, we can take a closer look by simply comparing these Bibles with the true Word of God, the King James Bible. For the sake of time, I'll give a few examples. If you want to do your own comparison, there's two different Bible comparison tracks or information you can find that I would suggest, that I like. They're both available to find on the internet. One would be the Bible comparison, the Bible version comparison, by Dr. Terry Watkins. And a second that I like is the New Age Bible versions by Gail Riplinger. It's also very good, and she's got a lot of good information. So just Google her start page, I would say, and check her out. Both are available on the internet. Okay, just for a moment though, I'd like to show a couple of these scriptures for the sake of time, and also because it's more popular. Let's say with the NIV. Let's start with that. And this may be a little long, so I think I'll break this video at this point, and we'll move on to this third part after this, and we'll go through these scriptures. Thanks.